If you're familiar with management simulation games, then you'll probably recognize the name Frontier Developments. In 2016, they released the highly successful Planet Coaster, which reignited interest in the tycoon genre. Since then, they've released Jurassic World Evolution and Planet Zoo, and their repertoire also includes Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, Connectimals, and the Elite series. However, there's one game that's quite important to the company's history that isn't talked about very much, but nonetheless definitely deserves attention. Dog's Life is a PlayStation 2 game that was released in 2004, and despite the T rating, it was pretty clearly made for kids in mind with its simple gameplay and juvenile humor. Why the T rating then? The crude humor, apparently. Interestingly enough though, the game received a PEGI 3+ rating in Europe. Evidently, they didn't take as much issue with it as the US, even though plenty of kids shows at the time weren't strangers to that kind of humor. Then again, if it was released 1 year later, it might have gotten an E10 rating instead. Anyways, the game starts off with our protagonist, Jake, introducing himself. We're also quickly introduced to the kind of comedy we're going to be seeing a lot of. Yes, there's nothing quite like starting your game off with a fart joke. Unfortunately, things quickly go south. Jake and his girlfriend Daisy are kidnapped by two suspicious people in a truck. Somehow, no one notices this despite the dogs being nabbed in broad daylight in front of someone's house. Luckily, Jake's able to escape thanks to the faulty truck door, which is when the player takes control of him and is ready to officially disembark on the journey. In order to progress through the game, you need to collect bones in each of the levels, which are found throughout the world by completing various tasks. The controls are simple, and none of the problems you need to solve are exactly difficult, many of which involve fetching objects for humans in distress. Unfortunately, the camera can be a little weird. As in, a lot of the times, not in the place you'd expect it or want it to be pointing. However, I found that entering first-person smell-o-vision remedies a lot of these problems. Jumping can still be kind of finicky though, as there are times where Jake will flat out refuse to jump if you're not in just the right spot. However, smell-o-vision isn't just there for first-person mode. A significant mechanic of the game is collecting various scents which help you acquire more bones, and also play minigames against the local dog that lives in a particular level. Do that, and you'll be able to temporarily control that dog so you can complete a certain task that particular dog breed is best suited for. And seeing as how this game is from the perspective of a dog, you'll get plenty of opportunities to get a nice, close look at Jake's unblinking stare in all its glory. Okay, so the graphics haven't aged the best, and even at the time it was released there were other games with graphics that have aged better. But you can clearly see that there was a lot of effort put into making the dogs resemble their respective breeds. For example, you can tell at first glance that Jake's an American foxhound. This is an Australian shepherd. This is a bulldog. And this is a nondescript puppy carrying around a cat that's almost the same size as itself. If nothing else though, then at least it can be said that the dogs look a lot better than the humans. It should also be noted that the animations of the dogs also have a lot of effort put into them, which was intentional, seeing as how players would definitely pick up on subpar canine animations in a game that's all about dogs. There also weren't a whole lot of three-dimensional, four-legged animals that moved realistically in video games at the time, which means that there weren't many points of references for the animators to look back to. You can even see how different a small dog's running animation is compared to the medium-sized Jake's animations. Also, controlling a small dog feels appropriately light and slippery, whereas a larger dog feels heavy and slow. Even today, I'd say the animations for the dogs look pretty good and are a lot of fun to play around with. I also like how Jake runs around all floppy like he's drunk. All in all, this game was pretty important to Frontier's history, as its animation development process set the foundation for their future animal-based games. As for the level designs, they're probably my second favorite thing about this game right under the dogs themselves. Each one of them is unique with different areas to explore, and none of them feel recycled, even the ones in the strictly structured city. I've also always liked the first world, Clarksville, a lot because it reminds me of the rural regions that were near me where I grew up. And I definitely can't neglect talking about all the ways you can mess around in the levels. When I was a kid, I wasted so much time just figuring out all the different ways you could screw around in each region. You can take a dip in the river and dry yourself clean. You can pick up a chicken and shake all of its feathers off its body. You can even take a crap on the ground and throw it around, and the humans will have unique reactions to your dirty habits.
Oh, I'm not cut out for this job.
Say what you will about the toilet humor in this game, but the fact that the developers took the time to not only add a farting/crapping function, but also allowed you to throw around said crap and gave a bunch of NPCs different reactions to it, is honestly pretty impressive. Also, this reaction from the parrot got a genuine chuckle from me.
I may fall off my perch.
Don't give me that look, you all thought it was funny too. The music is also quite pleasant to listen to, and hearing it again brought back a huge wave of nostalgia. And the minigame music is a ton of fun too. The voice acting is fine.
Well, it makes a change from stepping in sheep poop. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Eat lead, fox fiend.
But at least it seems like they were doing their best with the limited voice cast. Hell, Dig's voice actor, Carrie Shale, also voices about 30 other characters in the game. As you play through the game, you'll notice that Daisy wasn't the only dog to be kidnapped. Soon, you'll learn that a woman named Miss Peaches is responsible for ordering the kidnappings. And why did she steal all of those dogs? Well, let's just say it gets real dark real fast. This game is somewhat infamous for its suddenly horror-esque climax. When you finally make it to the last level, you're greeted with a blood-red sky and a dead wasteland that looks like it was taken straight out of a horror movie. And just listen to this creepy ambiance. Oh, and this is what Miss Peaches plans to do with the dogs she's captured.
Sliced, diced, and mashed into a delicious pate by the big machine.
You're not gonna hurt that little doggy, now are you?
Well, what the fuck do you think? And if that wasn't disturbing enough, the tail end of the game takes place in a factory where you have to stop the machine from turning Daisy into cat food. Yes, that is a bloody buzzsaw. And yet, the Peggy rating board took a look at this and thought, yeah, this is okay for 3-year-olds. And then the ESRB thought, we'll just warn the parents about the fart jokes and innuendos. That'll be enough. Either that, or they didn't get to this part. I'm not sure what's worse. Oh, but it doesn't end there. After saving Daisy, Miss Peaches confronts you with a shotgun and orders you to
Get your doggy asses into the big machine.
So how does Jake save the day?
Take this, cat lady.
And then Miss Peaches meets her end by her own creation and gets turned into canned cat food. Well, shit. Weren't expecting that, were you? Sam Denny, one of the artists for the game, said that he wanted an ironic twist at the end. But even he later admitted that this level probably shouldn't have made it into the game. Well, I guess there's nothing quite like ending your game the same way it started off. With murder. Dog's Life is certainly a weird game, and there's nothing quite like it even after all these years. It's also a game that seems to be largely forgotten by a lot of people, even though I'd imagine a game that takes place from the perspective of a dog would be a popular concept. But nonetheless, it's an important part of Frontier's history, and its influences can be seen in the games we know and love from them today. While the game is a bit rough around the edges in some places, it's a fun and even cute game for dog lovers young and old. And as someone that likes weird and unique games, I'd say this one is worth getting your paws on.